What's going on, family? I'm Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuff series. Let's have a conversation about a middleweight who fought in the 1980s and early part of the 1990s. Now, I didn't overlook this middleweight, but it was brought to my attention. My brother Trick Noti messaged me in my chat. He said, Scrap, you got to do something on Reggie Johnson. And I was surprised because I thought I did something on Reggie Johnson. And I looked back and I realized I did not. And I was very moved by the suggestion because Reggie Johnson was a middleweight I've always looked forward to watching his accomplishments, because I believed that Reggie Johnson, as he was coming up, was the best prospect at that time. I believe that till this day. And he showed to be a fantastic middleweight, no question about it. And you're listening to a man who covered all spectrums of boxing, researched all areas of boxing. And for Reggie Johnson's time, he did what was asked of him. But what really got me to pay attention to Reggie Johnson, and I knew he could do this, but until a fighter actually accomplishes the goal or the expectation, it's not proven. But boy, Reggie Johnson had proved it that night. And I was surprised and happy at the same time. But who was Reggie Johnson? His name is Reggie Dwayne Johnson. He was born August 28, 1966. He's 55 years of age as we speak. Born in Houston, Texas. He stood 5 foot 10 inches. Had a 72-inch reach. Had a record of 52 total bouts. 44 wins, 25 knockouts, 7 losses, and 1 draw. Fought under the weight division of 160 to 175 pounds. As a matter of fact, he captured titles in both divisions. Now, he fought from August 14th, 1984 to February 23rd, 2008. He had 6 bouts in 1984, 4 bouts in 1985, 4 bouts in 1987, 6 bouts in 1988, and 4 bouts in 1989. That's more than what's happening today. He lost his 7th bout, January 29th, 1985, to Adam George in his hometown, Houston, Texas. It was a unanimous decision. Now, that's what's been registered. I watched that fight. I saw different. Now, his professional debut was against a fighter by the name of Mark Henderson. But Reggie Johnson came around at a time when you had great middleweights, outstanding middleweights during their day. Milt McCollum, Marvelous Marvin Hagler was the champion. Robbie Sims, Carlos Santos, Buster Drayton, Dwayne Thomas, Harold Graham, Michael Elijah, Lindell Holmes, Frank Tate. I mean, need I say more? He fought at the Great Western Forum in Inglewood, California, against a fighter by the name of Israel Cole. Israel Cole defeated him in 12 rounds. He wins the vacant WBA Intercontinental Middleweight Championship title. He faces Victor Fernandez, Leon Spain. Gets rid of him in 2 rounds. Ismael Negron, 11 rounds. Technical knockout in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I was at that fight. In fact, I was at least 5 or 6 of Reggie Johnson's fights. He became the WBA middleweight championship titleist when he defeated Irish Steve Collins, 12 rounds, April 22nd, 1992. The fight took place in East Rutherford, New Jersey. It's right off of Route 3 and Route 17. They call it the Meadowlands. I was at that fight. Now, during this time, you had fighters such as Bo James and Tony Thornton, Tim Littles, Mike the Body Snatcher McCallum. He moved up from junior middleweight at this point. Doug DeWitt, Iran the Blade Barkley, Steve Collins, Mercury Sosa. You had a fighter coming up in the early 90s by the name of Lonnie Bradley. He was from Harlem, New York. Lonnie Bradley would suffer from a detached retina, but he was the guy everyone had his eyes on. And we used to watch him train in Gleason's gym, my dad and I. Lonnie Bradley was the goods. But this is the time that Reggie Johnson came around. Then you had Bernard the Executioner Hopkins. At this time, he was with Butch Lewis Productions. You had James Lights Out Tony, Roy Jones, John David Jackson, who was a southpaw. But the fighter that I wanted to see him fight, I was always curious about how this fight would turn out. And at this point, Reggie Johnson had already defeated Steve Collins for the WBA middleweight championship strap. And his mandatory was a fighter that everyone was running away from. And his name was Lamar Kid Fire Parks, who was from Greensville, South Carolina. He won the Golden Gloves in South Carolina, National Junior Olympics. 1988 Olympics, he lost to John Skelly, 156 pounds. He would win 175 fights in his amateur career. Lamar Kid Fire Parks was knocking out everyone. And he wasn't just knocking them out, it was the way he was knocking them out. Somewhat frightening, if you will. He's a devastating puncher. But I saw something in Reggie Johnson that would cause me to believe that he would defeat and defend his WBA middleweight championship, and he would defeat Kid Fire Parks. I had to attend that fight. So I flew out to Texas, because that's where that fight was. And Reggie Johnson would make Kid Fire Parks' undefeated streak go away. The fight took place October 27th, 1992. Kid Fire Parks was 22 years old. And like I said, you just didn't know because of the success that Kid Fire Parks had up until that point. Now, leading into this point, you had fighters such as Chris Eubank, Nigel Benn, Steve Collins, Sub Columbe, Michael Second to None, Joe McClellan, Michael Kilowatts. These are the fighters you had in Reggie Johnson's time. So Reggie Johnson, in my estimation, is underrated, unappreciated. And I scrapbook boxing have to salute Reggie Johnson. He didn't avoid any fighter. I remember when he was dropped in a fight. I I'm not sure if he was cut over his eye. He got up and he went to work. He won the vacant IBA, Light Heavyweight Championship belt, February 23rd, 2008, Houston, Texas. And he would win the IBF, Light Heavyweight title. He would lose his NABF, USBA to Antonio Tarver. He would lose the opportunity to earn the WBA, IBF, and the WBC, 1999, when he took on Roy Jones Jr. He lost his WBA middleweight championship strap, 12 rounds, to John David Jackson, 1993. I was at most of those fights. John David Jackson was a southpaw. Wound up training Clarissa Shields. I remember when John David Jackson was in the ring with Bernard, the executioner Hopkins, who wound up training Bernard Hopkins towards the end of his career. Those are my thoughts on Reggie Johnson. Clever fighter. Clever fighter. Boy, if he was fighting today. Amazing. So I just wanted to pay a little tribute to Reggie Johnson. Shout out to Trick Nolte. Scrapbook Boxing. Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuff series. All great fights and all great fighters. And I consider Reggie Johnson a great fighter. Will never be forgotten on my channel. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Welcome aboard, sweet Reggie Johnson.
Beautiful technician with sweet Reggie Johnson. No one today would defeat Reggie Johnson. No question about it. He's a brilliant fighter. Shout out to Reggie Johnson. Amazing. Woo! Oh, beautiful move. Kid Firefox. James Lights Out Tony. Great fighter. This is Reggie Johnson. I want you to watch this knockout from Reggie Johnson. Beautiful. Watch the walkout.
What are you doing?
Oh.
Brother?
Ask him, what is he doing in there?
I'm Baron Wolfgang von Pest.
Beautiful. Salute.